So yesterday, Friday, at the end of the day, about 3:30, rain came down so heavy in such a short period of time, it flooded the job. And it was rain unlike anything I've ever experienced. And I would say that's probably true for everyone there. You could ask them, have you ever experienced rain like that before? And all of them would say no. With the exception of maybe one or two who have. And with the exception of people who normalize it and minimize it so they can forget about it. And my mom had a way of doing this all the time, but they want to normalize it and minimize it so they can forget about it. And for me, so she would try to not encourage me with those crazy conspiracy theories. Sometimes she would even make shit up like, oh yeah, the Schumann cavity resonance, it used to have a 24-hour spike like it's having now, but I was back in the 60s, so you weren't even born yet. You wouldn't remember that. But yeah, that happened before. So it's just like back in the 60s. In order to normalize it, minimize it, so they can forget about it. But anyway, that rain coming down yesterday is related to a lyric in the song, "You Can't Stop the Rain, No Way. Pretending the weather is in your mind, you got no one to blame." I've only listened to that song a few times enough now to remember the rhythm and some of the lyrics. So I'm going to go over some of those lyrics now. First, I'm going to go over the other couple songs by Ed Sheeran called "Make It Rain" and "Icy Fire." And these three songs combined by that one artist, they're all referencing this filtration process we're going through. And I made a video the other day titled "Stop the Rain / Make It Rain" by Ed Sheeran. Those are two of his songs. One is titled "Stop the Rain." One is titled "Make It Rain." And that video didn't get very many views, and I'm not here to discuss that. It was curious to me, like maybe people thought that was part 4 of my grievance series, For the Record, because the previous two had a song title in them. One of them was "Guilty Filthy Soul." That was part 1 and 2 of For the Record. And part 3 also had a song title. So I thought maybe people saw this Ed Sheeran, "Make It Rain, Stop the Rain," and they thought, I don't want to hear any more of your personal life. And that's fine. For some reason, that didn't get very many views. But that's okay. It's not about quantity. It's about quality. And everyone here knows I ain't about clicks and views and likes and shares and popularity contests and subscriber numbers and that shit. In fact, I don't like new subscribers. When like Carol from Never Lose Truth featured my channel on her channel and I got a flood of new subscribers, they were asking all the new questions. And I'm kind of over that. I much prefer to interact with the people that have been here a while that don't have all those first-timer questions. But for some of the guys at work, it's kind of a different experience. So I'm willing to field some of those questions with them. And I'm wondering if some of them have a screen name that they're interacting with me through the comment section. Probably. You would think so. I would think so. Anyway. So this experience yesterday where the rain came down so hard, unlike anything I've ever experienced, I actually wasn't paying attention while it was happening. I was cleaning the inside of the truck, because I had let that inside of that truck get filthy, and I was taking advantage of the fact that no one's expecting anything out of us right now. It's raining so hard, no one can do anything, so I was taking advantage of that time that I had, because other than that, all day, it's back and forth. My drink's sloshing around, making sticky spots, and the dust comes in and settles on that, and it creates grossness. So I was cleaning while it was coming down. And I go to clean the door jamb, part of the door jamb, and I'm expecting a bunch of rain to come in, and I would use that extra rain that comes in as part of my cleaning operation I'm doing, and as I open the door, I realize, oh wow, it stopped. And I get out, and I look outside, and holy shit, I didn't know it was raining that hard. What the fuck happened here? The whole job is flooded. There is rivers running, and I hopped up on top of the truck and took a video. After that, we kind of did some work regarding, that, trying to dig some trenches to direct the water. And Dax asks me, how did you feel? While we're in the midst of, 5 or 6 or 8 of us standing around, talking about what we're about to do to make these trenches get the water to flow in the directions we want it to. He asks me, so how did you feel? How did you feel while that was happening? It's like, I was cleaning the inside of the truck. I wasn't even paying attention. And that was an honest response. Because I really wasn't. But the fact that he asked me that question shows, to some degree, that he recognizes this was an extraordinary experience, beyond ordinary, extraordinary, extraordinary. And so that, you don't normally ask someone, how did that make you feel while it was raining? Right? That's not a normal question to ask someone. What do you mean, how did I feel while it was raining? I felt like I always feel when it's raining. Or I felt just like I felt before it was raining and after it stopped raining. So that shows me he's recognizing this is an extraordinary experience we just had with this rain, and he's wanting to know how I felt while that was happening. So maybe he recognizes the relationship between that experience we had in this downpour that's unlike anything anyone's ever experienced, and I would suspect, say there's 20 guys on the job. I would guess that all 20 of them would say, no, I never been in that kind of rain. That came down heavier than I have ever experienced. And for longer. It felt to me like 5 minutes. But Brad, during this time after it stopped raining, we all kind of convened and said, well, now what are we going to do? Brad, then the superintendent, number one in command, said, yeah, it started coming down. I thought, okay, now it'll stop here in a second. And then it just kept coming. Tarek says, man, it felt like forever. I wasn't paying attention. Maybe it was more than 5 minutes, but to me it felt like it all came down in 5 minutes. And in 5 minutes we received about a month's worth of rain. And a month's worth of rain is relative to, what month? What do you mean a month's worth of rain? What does that mean? A shitload of rain. And this brings into question, how does that much water weight stay up in the sky and then suddenly come down? Some of the explanation we receive from the weatherman doesn't pass the smell test. And I've heard people ask these questions before. Like, the hydrological cycle that they tell us about is all bullshit, and that those clouds are something unlike what we've ever been taught. Maybe we need to reassess what we think clouds are, how we think rain works. Like maybe rain is actually punching a hole in the waters above, in the firmament. It opens a small hole and it rains. It opens a big hole and it downpours. It opens a bunch of little holes all over and it rains over a larger area to a moderate degree. You open one big hole and it's a downpour right upon you. Oh, and hold that thought. I know you can't see it because it's blurry. Emergency alert. Severe. National Weather Service, a flash flood warning is in effect for this area until 8:15 p.m. Mountain MDT, Mountain Daylight Time or whatever, Mountain Standard Time. This is a dangerous and life-threatening situation. Do not attempt to travel unless you are fleeing an area subject to flooding or under evacuation order. This came through on my phone after I'd already left work, maybe 6 p.m. Kind of forgot my train of thought. Wish I wouldn't have done that. Clouds, rain, what the hell? How does that much water weight stay up in the sky and then just come down upon you like that? I don't think the explanations that were given from the weathermen really make much sense. And once you start thinking about it for yourself, rather than go, well, they're the experts, they would know, and whatever they say must be true. When you recognize, well, what about fire? They say it's lightning. They say it's this, and obviously they're wrong. You still believe the experts? That was the inoculation that COVID gave people plasma fire gave people an inoculation to taking the authorities' word for everything and gave them an immunity to peer pressure and authority. Prior to COVID, people that had experienced plasma fire and realized these authorities are full of shit and don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and are even giving us lies, intentional deception and misdirection on plasma fire, a clear and present danger. So by the time it comes around, they're like, no, the present danger is COVID. Here, take a vaccine. It's like, fuck you. You're the guys that haven't been saying shit about the trees burning on the inside, which is a real clear and present danger. And this is a hoax and a facade. Anyway, so maybe we need to reconsider how that water stays up in the sky. According to them, it's just hydrological cycle. It evaporates and condensation accumulates. we need to maybe reconsider what clouds are. Oh, those are just condensation, moisture, humidity. All of it is up for reconsideration. Back to what I was saying, it seems like we had a collective initiation experience yesterday. Me and everyone that experienced that downpour. And so now, maybe the reason Dax asked, how did that make you feel when that rain, while it was raining like that? Maybe he did. Maybe he's one of the people that did watch the video, Stop the Rain and Make It Rain by Ed Sheeran. And the experience that I had that night that made me make that video. And that's why he wanted to know, how do you feel? How'd you feel about that while that was happening? You don't ask people a question like that. How did you feel while it was raining? What do you mean? Same way I feel every time it rains, or same way I felt before it was raining and after. And he didn't say, how did that make you feel? Okay, and how did that make you feel? Oh, okay, and how did that make you feel? To the other guy standing around, he just asked me. So we had an experience yesterday that was almost like a trauma bond. So I'm going to read the lyrics now to 3 songs. Icy Fire, Make It Rain, and Stop the Rain. And the way you know what he's talking about in Stop the Rain is when you hear the lyrics and listen to the song Make It Rain. He ain't just talking about rain. Though these forces of nature will all be used in the great and terrible day of the Lord, from lightning to rain to whirlwinds, the angel in the whirlwind, just like the experience that I had Thursday before I received the eviction notice, where the Spirit was coming through, and that whirlwind happened. This experience I had a couple days ago with the lightning above my head, the only other experience I've had similar to it was the experience that I had with the wind that whipped up at the same time, showing me that there's an intelligent force behind this wind, and there's an intelligent force behind this lightning, and we think of these forces of nature as just kind of a random or chaotic and uncontrolled release of energy due to these processes of the hydrological cycle and static electricity buildup and whatever else we've been told. It's time to reconsider what clouds are, how lightning works, where wind comes from, and all the rest. And like Greg Braden said in his explanation between of Carlos Castaneda and Don Juan, where he was talking to the Spirit and said to the Spirit, well, how will I know when you're around? And a breeze brushed through his hair. And the Spirit said, you just felt me. And he said, what, the wind? And the Spirit said, the wind is all you felt because wind is all you know. And Greg Braden went on to say these forces. He said there's the spirit of the wind, what the ancients used to call the spirit of the wind, the spirit of the water, the spirit of earth, the dirt. And he said if you don't like the word spirit, you can use the word electromagnetic forces, and you're pretty much saying the same thing. And he said, so next time you have an experience with one of these things, the light, as you feel the sunshine on your face, that's the spirit of the light. Or the breeze run through your hair, the spirit of the air. Or that water when you stick your hand down in a river and feel it running through your fingers. That's the spirit of the water. And next time, that's a very different way of thinking of your life experience, is that you are interacting with and having an experience with this spirit. Not just wind or not just clouds. All you see are clouds because clouds are all you know. All you see is lightning because lightning is all you know. That is what Greg Braden said, that twist your perception a little bit to think of these things in a little different way, and you have a completely different experience than the guy next to you who's like, what, it's just clouds? What do you mean it's just clouds? So this guy, Mark, goes by Marduk 2023, recently sent me text messages, and we've been conversating through text, and he says, these clouds, man, they've been fucking with me. It's like they respond to my attention. When I pay attention to them, they respond somehow. And I was like, yeah, the way I put it kind of is that they have a conscious connection with the observer. And I heard that phrase used when I was watching a UFO sightings video. They said that often the reports of these UFOs, the person reporting it says it is reported to have a conscious connection with the observer. That wind at my house the Thursday before I got the eviction notice that changed my life and made me make that Opus Magnus video series. that wind had a conscious connection with the observer. That lightning the other day that made me make that video, stop the rain, make it rain. That lightning had a conscious connection with the observer. As the spirit comes through and you hear the still small voice within, and it starts coinciding with the lightning that's striking above your head or with the wind and showing you, yeah, we got forces at work here. This relates to something I'm about to tell you about how Joe Biden, after the election of Barack Obama, during the inauguration, F-14 jets fly over. Who was in before Obama? Bush? Anyway, F-14 jets fly over and Joe Biden's like, fuck that, how dare they fly those jets over here trying to threaten us with the military or whatever. Supposedly, this is all from Alex Jones, so take it for what it's worth, but supposedly Hillary turns to him and says, no, Joe, those are ours now. Those are our jets. Those are our forces. And that lightning above my head, when startled at first, by the end, I'd come to terms with these forces are not here against me. They are with me. They are in support of me. That's my backup. Like Joe Biden not realizing that those are your jets now. Those forces, those armed forces, are now under your command and control and authority, Joe. That's not them sending jets over to threaten you. Those are our jets now. Those are our forces. They're not here to harm you or intimidate you or threaten you. They're here in support of you. And that's going to be part of what I'm about to read. So let's go over the lyrics of I see fire, make it rain, and stop the rain. This is I see fire. Oh, misty eye of the mountain below, keep careful watch of my brother's souls. The spirit of the fire. There's another. Forces of nature that we think of in this random, chaotic way. It's not an intelligent living being. It's just fire. That's not an intelligent living consciousness. It's just water. That is what James True said about electricity, that we still think of it as some dead, inert commodity, like oil or rocks or wood or electricity. And we don't think of electricity as a living consciousness yet. But in time we will. And I've made a video covering the movie Pulse, where the electricity is a living conscious entity that enters into the houses and operates in mysterious ways with a consciousness and an intent. Very different way of looking at electricity rather than some dead, inert, unconscious commodity. Okay, back to I See Fire by Ed Sheeran. Oh, misty eye of the mountain below, keep careful watch of my brother's souls. And should the sky be filled with fire and smoke, keep watching over journeying souls. If this is the end in fire, then we should all burn together. Watch the flames climb high into the night, calling out, Father, oh, stand by and we will watch the flames burn on the mountainside. I think it's supposed to say desolation comes upon the night, just by memory, but it doesn't have it here. And if we should die tonight, then we should all die together. Raise a glass of wine for the last time, calling out, Father, oh, prepare and we will watch the flames burn on the mountainside. Desolation comes upon the sky. Now I see fire inside of mountains, and I see fire burning the trees, and I see fire hollowing souls, and I see fire, blood in the breeze, and I hope that you remember me. How could fire be hollowing souls? Like it's part of the processing of the consciousness on consciousness farms, revealing your true color, putting you through a process that hollows your soul if you don't have what it takes. Yeah. Oh, should my people fall, then surely I'll do the same. Confined in mountain halls, we got too close to the flame. Calling out, Father, oh, hold fast and we will watch the flames burn, all burn on the mountainside. Desolation comes upon the sky. Now I see fire inside of mountains, and I see fire. Actually, it says inside the mountains, so maybe it's referring to like a singular mountain, Mount Meru, where the blue beam comes out or something. I don't know. Anyway, I see fire inside of mountains, and I see fire burning the trees, and I see fire hollowing souls, and I see fire, blood in the breeze. And I hope that you remember me. And if the night is burning, excuse me. And if the night is burning, I will cover my eyes. For if the dark returns, then my brothers will die. And as the sky is falling down, and it crashed into this lonely town, with that shadow upon the ground, I hear my people screaming out. Now I see fire inside of mountains, and I see fire burning the trees, and I see fire hollowing souls. I see fire, blood in the breeze. Oh, you know I saw a city burning. Oh, you know there's some city burning. And I see fire, feel the heat upon my skin. Yeah, I see fire, and I see fire burn on the mountainside. So that's the end of that song. And the fire that it's speaking of is hollowing souls. The fire that it's speaking of anyway, I'll leave that there. So that was Ed Sheeran, I See Fire. And that'll help you now let's talk about Make It Rain. And from the song Make It Rain, you'll understand what he's referring to when he talks about rain. Basically, the concept of raining down hellfire and brimstone. Like what is depicted in the song I See Fire. So, let's go to check out Make It Rain. Oh yeah, and the music video for I See Fire starts out with a dragon, big dragon coming right in front of the camera. And then it shows a bunch of images from Lord of the Rings. Cool video. So, this is going to be Make It Rain. I got to hear it first for a second. Oh, when the sins of my father way down in my soul, and the pain of my mother will not let me go. Well, I know there can come fire from the sky to refine the purest of kings. And even though I know this fire brings me pain, even so and just the same, make it rain down, Lord. Make it rain, oh, make it rain. And it repeats that a few more times. Oh, the seed needs the water, for it grows out of the ground, but it just keeps on getting harder, and the hunger more profound. Well, I know they... Okay, well, I know, I'll just read it. Sometimes it misinterprets the lyrics. Sometimes the lyrics that you get off of the internet are not actually the lyrics that are in the song. Whether it's because the... speech to text misinterpreted something or whatever. But, moving on. Oh, the seed needs the water, for it grows out of the ground, but it just keeps on getting harder, and the hunger more profound. Well, I know there can come tears from the eyes, but they may as well all be in vain. And even though I know these tears come with pain, even so and just the same, Make it rain. Oh, make it rain down, Lord. Just make it rain. Well, the seas are full of water that stops by the shore, just like the riches of grandeur never reach the poor. And let the clouds fill with thunderous applause, and let lightning be the veins, and fill the sky with all that they can draw. When it's time to make a change, make it rain down, Lord. And it just keeps repeating that. So, this is a fire from the sky that refines the purest of kings, much like the other song, I See Fire, hollowing souls. And the ones that don't get hollowed out during this process become refined through the heat and the pressure. This is talking about consciousness. Not just lightning, not just fire from the sky. I see fire inside of mountains. When have you ever seen a fire inside of mountains? Ed Sheeran knows some things. So let's move on to, that was Make It Rain. Let's move on to the next song called Stop the Rain, which would more accurately be titled You Can't Stop the Rain. But it's titled Stop the Rain. So I'm just going to go over the whole song and then come back to some of the lyrics and talk about how they relate to my personal experience and our experience that we're going through. Another human cloud to bring you down when you blew the last away. And bring out a poison crown and bring out a poison tongue or a plastic crown, but from here they look the same. And sometimes it can get all too much for me. That's why the photograph gets burned. Throw the match in gasoline. Don't let the ones who hurt you see you cry. Tomorrow is another day. You cannot stop the rain, no way. Holding an umbrella when the great clouds come over again. Trying to find something real, but it's not the game they play. Pretending that the weather is in your mind, you got no one to blame. But that's just the way I feel. You cannot stop the rain, yeah. You cannot stop the rain, yeah. Another I, me, mine to blur the lines between love and then heartbreak. Oh, it's a lonely life thinking you're right and always shifting blame. And every time it's getting more ugly, and that's why the photograph gets burned. Throw the match in gasoline, Don't let them tell you keep it all inside. I know the winds have got to change. You cannot stop the rain, no way. Holding an umbrella when the gray clouds come over again. Trying to find something real, but it's not the game they play. Pretending that the weather is all in your mind, you got no one to blame. But that's just the way I feel. You cannot stop the rain, yeah. You cannot stop the rain, yeah. And it seems like time can be much more than a wake-up call to live real life. Every day is a chance that we can start over, read my mind. There'll be ups and downs, but it won't change a thing between you and me. And there's one thing I can't change. You cannot stop the rain, no way. Holding an umbrella when the gray clouds come over again. Trying to find something real, but it's not the game they play. Pretending the weather's in your mind, you got no one to blame. But that's just the way I feel. You cannot stop the rain, no way. Holding an umbrella when the gray clouds come over again. And I think it just repeats that a couple more times, yep. So, oh, there's my alarm going off. How about dismiss? There we go. This song, the first time I ever heard it was after I had this experience with the lightning and the rain that had a conscious connection with the observer. And in that scenario with the lightning coming down, no one could have stood next to me and not wanted to run and duck for cover. Let's go get back in the car. Let's go get inside. Let's go get under us something so we don't get struck by this lightning. You cannot stop the rain, no way, by holding an umbrella when those gray clouds come over again. When I had this interactive experience with that lightning that had a conscious connection with the observer, and by the end, I'd come to realize, Joe, those are our forces. They're here in support of you. They're not here to hurt you. These forces are here for you to embrace. Now I'm going to read some stuff, and I will read some stuff. A lot of the stuff I'm saying right now is going to be repeated in something I sent text to myself. And so I heard that song, Stop the Rain, after I had this interactive experience with the lightning and the rain that was downpouring upon me. And at first I was a little bit shaken and stirred, quite startled, but then reassured and reinvigorated with the Spirit. The Spirit that, took me to Missouri and back and said, you don't have to pull the levers. You just got to get to the point where you're ready, willing to do it yourself so that you're not mad at God when God does it. Well, after COVID, a lot of people are ready and willing to do it themselves. They see these dumb fuckers walking around with masks and they don't want to live in the same world with these people anymore. So they're not going to be mad when God does it. That's the process that it took to get people to the point where they're willing to do it themselves. Because those motherfuckers built concentration camps for us, the unvaccinated. So you're going to be a lot less mad at God when God... Another human cloud to bring you down when you blew the last away. So these forces of nature are controlled, very specifically directed, not just chaotic random releases of energy due to static charge buildup and shit. And clouds are not what we think they are and what we've been told they are. And the wind, and the spirit of the wind, and the spirit of the lightning. So, after I had that interactive experience, and it took me from being startled to being reinvigorated and reminded of all that I've been through, being honed as a tool in God's hand for not just 20 years, not just the last 4 years, for 40 fucking 2 years. God takes that everything and incorporates it into his plan for the greatest amount of happiness, for the most amount of people, the plan of happiness. Even things that are intended for ill will and negative are transmuted into a positive. And by the time I was walking back to the car, I was thanking God out loud for honing me as a tool in his hand, as I've been asking to be done since I was about 19 years old and first came into the spirituality phase of my life and started praying first to a God named Wah, first to the power of good. I didn't want to conform to the definitions and explanations that other people have of God. I found my own God. That's why people find God in AA. Find a higher power of your own understanding. May you find him now. May you find her now. So when I was walking back from that walk that I took, and I was soaked head to toe, but it didn't matter. Even though it was still raining, I turned around to go pick one of those sunflowers. Link is in the description from the video that I made the other day. It was only a short video that I made when I got back here to the car. And on my walk back, I started singing out loud the song, Make It Rain. Make it rain down, Lord. Make it rain. Oh, make it rain. Well, I know there may come tears from the eyes, but they may as well all be in vain. And even though I know these tears come with pain, even so and just the same, make it rain. And there was a guy riding a bicycle next to me. He got caught out in that rainstorm. He's probably thinking, who the fuck? Man, if that guy had a license plate on his car, I would call him in right now. So as I'm walking back to the car, being reinvigorated by the Spirit of the Lord, that it told me, no, Jeff, these forces, those are our forces. Yeah. I got in the car to Google the song Make It Rain so I could listen to it on the radio, and it misinterpreted what I Googled or not. And it gave me the song, You Can't Stop the Rain. And some of those lyrics relate to my personal life experience in recent time. Particularly, another I mean mine to blur the lines between love and then heartbreak. Oh, it's a lonely life thinking you're right and always shifting blame. And every time it's getting more and more ugly, and that's why the photograph gets burned. Throw the match in gasoline. That's relating to Doug and his I, me, mine approach after my mom died, wanting all the stuff. Give me all the stuff. It's all mine. Here, sign here. Go 2 doors down. It's all mine. I, me, mine. To blur the line between love and then heartbreak. Because I do love that guy, and I have loved him my whole life. Everyone here on this job knows it. During his last birthday, I sent a text message to everyone around of the music. Show me how to Dougie. Show me how to Dougie. Everybody love me. Everybody love me. Show me how to Dougie. Show me how to Dougie. And told them to send this to him on his birthday as text. On my way to Missouri, I made a video stating that he's been the rock for me my whole life. Dedicated a lyric to a song. Dedicated a lyric to him from a song by Eminem called I'm Not Afraid. Where it says, I got this urge to pull my dick from the dirt and fuck the whole universe. I'm not afraid. Because he's the only person who I've ever heard use that phrase. Dick in the dirt. Beat your dick in the dirt. I've never even heard it used enough in context to know how to use that phrase or what the fuck it even means. But I've heard him use it a few times. At least 5 or 10 throughout my life. And I've never heard anyone else use it. So I give credit where credit's due. For the good and the bad. But this line right here, another I, me, mine to blur the lines between love and then heartbreak. Oh, it's a lonely life thinking you're right and always shifting blame. And every time it's getting more and more ugly, and that's why the photograph gets burned. Throw the match in gasoline. Hey. What photograph is it talking about? That's like a metaphor for humanity or our world. Because with everything else, the context within which you get that one lyric, pretty clear that he's talking about a process by which humanity gets filtered. Another human cloud to bring you down when you blew the last away. Bring out a poisoned tongue or a plastic crown, but from here they look the same. Sometimes it can get all too much for me, and that's why the photograph gets burned. Throw the match in gasoline. This is by the same guy that sings Make It Rain and Icy Fire. Make It Rain, that rain is basically raining down hellfire and brimstone, like he describes in Icy Fire. And in You Can't Stop the Rain, for me to encounter that song for the first time ever, after that personal first-hand interaction with God, with these forces of nature, reminding me, Jeff, no, those are our forces. Yeah, they're here in support of you. You have nothing to fear. Embrace this. People will fucking call me the devil because I can stand in the midst of lightning striking all around me and not be in fear. Just like when Dax asked, how did you feel during that while the rain was happening? Obviously, it was an extraordinary experience enough that he realized it made some people feel some certain ways. Just like Tarek said, man, it seemed to last forever. It only lasted a few minutes, guys. But it was unlike anything they'd ever experienced before. And that's why it seemed to last forever. Because it was. And to pretend the weather's all in your mind, to pretend those clouds are just clouds, and that rain is just rain, you have no one to blame. So that experience with the lightning, where I walked back to the car, reinvigorated by the Spirit, singing Make It Rain, and came back and Googled Make It Rain, and it gave me instead, You Can't Stop the Rain. That was apparently Wednesday, because here on Thursday at 11:47 a.m. I texted myself this. After the fear and intrepidation I had last night, when this isolated cloud was throwing off lightning and the sound that pierced my ears wasn't the booming thunderous roar of thunder with a bass frequency, but the high-pitched crack of lightning when it strikes very near you. I came to terms with it like when Joe Biden got pissed off after the election of Barack Obama and warplanes flew over at the inauguration and Hillary Clinton had to tell him, Joe, calm down. Those are our warplanes now. I came to the terms of understanding that this is my lightning, not that which will be used against me, but that which is in support of me, and the powers and forces that are friendly to me and in my favor. I've never had lightning strike this close, this many times, and with this great of intensity, and the only similar experience I've had is the Thursday before I received that eviction notice on Saturday, when the isolated vortex wind, like the angels, or that wind, Seminole wind, blow like it's never gonna blow again. Or that wind they call Mariah in Mormon tradition, which is actually from Zoroastrianism? Pretty sure. Yeah. Anyway. The only other experience I've had like that lightning, I've never had lightning strike this close, this many times, and with this great of intensity, and the only similar experience I've had is the Thursday before I received the eviction notice on that Saturday, when the isolated vortex wind, like the angels in the whirlwind, demonstrated their powers while delivering me greater knowing of God's wrath, and that it is not here for me to fear, but to embrace and rejoice. Anyone standing next to me while this encounter with these forces of nature happened would have wanted to go run and get under something or in a car as if it would protect them. But that is the meaning in the song "You Can't Stop the Rain" regarding the umbrella when those great clouds come over again. And the timing of the experience I just had before receiving this song confirms to me 1000% that the experience with the lightning and the encounter with this song were both part of the same process through which I am being initiated. These forces of nature are not random or chaotic, but specifically controlled and directed from vortex wind and lightning, all of which will be included in the great and terrible day of the Lord. Insert here the song Thunder by Imagine Dragons. There's always lightning before the thunder, and it's showing the arrival of these aliens, and they find themselves surrounded by sheep. What the fuck you think you're surrounded by now? This showed our true colors. This is a process through which we're being filtered, and that thunder that is preceded by lightning is not just talking about lightning and thunder. Reconsider your definition of these things and understand pictures that tell 1,000 words. In that music video, Thunder by Imagine Dragons, it shows the arrival of 3 different species. One of them is reptilian, the chick with the snake forked tongue. I've referenced this many times. Just a young gun with a quick fuse. I was uptight, wanna let loose. I was dreaming of bigger things and wanna leave my old life behind. Not a yes sir, not a follower. You fit the box, fit the mold, have a seat in the corner. Take your number. There's always lightning before the thunder. Just to include this, because it builds up on me, so I gotta get it out. Reference the song Royals by Lorde and how I can't find the one with the girl having the snake on her shoulders and the rat in her hands. And recap the video from Missouri where I showed images of the Kansas City Royals and said that we are royal in reference to the Triple Helix Tree of Life video. Some of you may remember that during the height of my craziness when I went to Missouri, showing you those blue Kansas City Royals and telling you while I'm filming it, we are royal. That song, Royal, is by a band, a musician, a music group called Lorde. And in my Opus Magnus series, I included a version of the song Royals by Lorde that has an image of a girl with a snake on her shoulders, and she's holding a rat in her hand like she's about to feed it to the snake. I cannot find that anywhere on the internet. I can't find that video again. Limited time offer while supplies last, exclusive distribution list. I'm glad I still have that image from my series, Opus Magnus, because I'm going to go grab a screenshot of it and use it as the thumbnail image for this video. Anyone else out there, let me know if you can find that video. Royals by Lorde, with the girl that has the snake on her shoulders and the rat in her hands. A picture tells 1,000 words. To help you reconsider what you think clouds are, and like Mark saying these are either remote control clouds that have some sort of intelligence they're demonstrating, I'm going to include a link in the description of a video I made standing right in front of my house that I titled Space Force, God's Army, Stellar Cores, all with question marks. Because these clouds that went in front of my house took the form of puffballs, and they would rearrange themselves into, at one point there was 5 stacked. At the first of the video, they're not stacked in a line. They're just randomly placed. Oh, and by the way, they got a trail coming out behind them, like the wind is blowing that way, and they have a trail streaming off behind them, or like they're being propelled through the atmosphere and they're leaving like a condensation trail behind them. And each of these puffball clouds is disorganized at first. They're not in alignment, but then they all come into alignment. One, like a snowman. 1, 2, 3. And at times there's 4. And at other times there's even 5. And I'm saying this while I'm filming it, that they have now changed from 5 different stacked snowballs in the sky, and now they've combined and it looks like 3 larger snowballs. And then they stretch out a little bit and it's 4 snowballs. And then they stretch out a little bit more and it's 5 snowballs. You watch that video and you'll know that there is something besides clouds up in our sky that look like clouds. But like I showed you and told you, and Greg Braden showed you and told you, you associate things you don't recognize with the closest thing to it that you do recognize. Regarding these patterns that I spoke of in the Park City Arts Festival, Kimball Arts Festival video, I showed you and told you and explained. Using these patterns, you take this pattern and show it to Americans, say, what do you see? They say it's Abraham Lincoln. It's just black and white and gray blocks arranged in a certain way. But you show Americans, they say, oh, that's Abraham Lincoln. Because that's what they recognize, so that's what they associate that pattern with. Take it to another country, they say it looks like a man, but they don't say Abraham Lincoln. Take it to a country where men don't grow facial hair and they don't see a man at all. When you see something you don't recognize, you give it the label, you identify it as the closest thing to it that you do recognize. So when you see these things in the sky, most people don't recognize them and they just assign them the label of clouds because that's what they do recognize. That's what Carlos Castaneda and Don Juan said in that all you felt was wind because wind is all you know. All you see are clouds because clouds are all you know. Watch this video that I filmed from in front of my house and you'll know, holy fuck, there is something besides clouds up there in that sky. But they look so close to clouds that every dumbass around you will just say, you're crazy. Listen to this guy. He thinks those aren't just clouds. Let them go. They're about to get wiped away. That's the human cloud to bring you down when you blew the last away. Sometimes it gets to be all too much, and that's why the photograph gets burned. Throw the match in gasoline. A couple more songs with a couple more lyrics from Muse Messages just to add a little icing to this cake. It's Time by Imagine Dragons. This road never looked so lonely. This house doesn't burn down slowly. From ashes to ashes. So in that song, but first I'm going to tell you this other lyric from the song Follow You by Imagine Dragons, where they make their way through all the other dragons to find the great white light dragon. I want to take you into the sunlight. The only way to the Father is through the Son. I'm going to include a series of music videos by Imagine Dragons in the description of this. For those that have been following along, that know the story, that understand the concepts that are going on here, you'll be able to listen and watch these music videos and know that each one of them is telling you part of the same story. Just like all three of those music videos by Ed Sheeran, I See Fire, Make It Rain, and You Can't Stop the Rain, they're all telling you different parts of the same story. When you can see what's going on around us, you can look at these music videos and listen to the lyrics and understand these guys aren't just creatively imagining shit. They are telling you something very important, very profound. But it's locked within the music. So those dumbasses that say, it's just a cloud, it's just a song, it doesn't mean anything. It's like they locked this message in the music to get through algorithms. Kind of like we use code words that will get censored for if we don't use code words online these days. You can't say certain words, so you say another word that sounds kind of like it to get around the algorithm, to get around the censorship. That's kind of like what these music messages are all about. To make sure those dumbass sheeple don't catch on. Lest it be the end of the calm before the storm if they do know what's coming. If they do know what's happening all around them right now, trees burning from the inside, if the average dumbass knew that, we would not be living life as we knew it right now. So it's a very good thing that my channel has been filtered and censored and only delivered to certain people. Because if it was allowed to go viral, the world would be over. End of the world as you know it. If those dumbasses knew what you know. So, that gives you an opportunity. Recognize what you have. God has spoken to you through me. And if you forfeit that opportunity, you pretend the weather's all in my mind, you have no one to blame. Because like I said, in that video that I made when I got back from having that experience with the lightning, and then coming in here and encountering the song, You Can't Stop the Rain, I wasn't even 3/4 the way through that song when I just hit stop and started making a video to document what I had just experienced. And in that video, I said, you're going to be on your own. So you better go to God, because you can't lean on me. Individuals find God, not groups. Narrow is the path that leads to salvation. It's single file. You came into this world alone. You're going out of this world alone. But if you find God, you're never alone. Home is where the heart is. And I'm homeless now, right? Anywhere I go, God goes with me. And that's home, because I haven't had a place to hang my heart for 4 years since everyone abandoned me. But I'm not homeless. I'm getting ready to go home. Earth School graduation day has arrived. You can get your cap and gown on, but you got to do it yourself.